This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Still coming from the Screaming Trees, Mad Seas, and Walking Papers. Barrett Martin joining us to talk on Seattle Rock Day. A lot of great stories to share coming up. Okay, it was probably a few years back. Our last chance, we didn't know at the time to talk to Chris Cornell. Hearing his voice here should bring a smile to your face. He was always one of our favorite people to have in studio. I don't know where this starts, where this picks up. Some of this interview never got it to air, so this might be the first time you hear some of this. Either way, because of time and everything else, let's just roll it. Robin, I don't know where this is, where this stops, but here we are with the late Chris Cornell. Ladies and gentlemen, live in studio, the one and only Chris Cornell. Chris, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
You got a half applause there. You just, honest to God, you just came in. You don't really, you're not really promoting anything.
No, I just came in to see you guys.
Yeah, I was say, why are you here, man? You know, I mean, look, anytime you see something like late night TV, there is a movie or there is a book or there is a record, and they're going to say, it's the greatest movie I've ever done. They say, well, Chris is going to come by.
You're just here.
What the hell is going on? Does he really have no friends? Is that what this is?
Yes, that's
just
what it
killing
is.
Time?
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm hoping that you'll be my friend.
There's no change. Listen, we went through this before the show. Let's get the elephant in the room. In this studio right now, we all recognize you are the ugliest and least talented man.
It's got to be tough.
Right? I mean, it's just,
poor guy.
I know it sucks for you. I hope this music thing works out. All right, let me tell you something about Soundgarden, all right? Just real quick. So I lived in Baltimore back in the day, and when you guys first signed to Sub Pop did like a mailer thing, right? And so my buddy had signed up for us. I got Alice in Chains, Mother Love Bone, Soundgarden, okay? So we fell in love with Soundgarden, no big deal. This time I'm in a rock band.
Yeah.
And we just put out a demo on cassette, and we had some friends over, okay? So they wanted to hear our demo. This is honest to God. Miles, I know you've had a similar experience in college football. So we put the cassette in the deck, and I run upstairs to take a leak, and I come downstairs, and everyone's like giving me the thumbs up as I'm walking down the stairs. We put in the wrong goddamn cassette, and they're listening to Flower.
Oh,
But before I can say it's not, they're like, God damn, guys, you guys are kicking. I mean, like, everyone's real complimentary, and I'm like, dude, it's not us, man. So we stopped Flower, one of my favorite tunes. And then we pop our cassette in, and they were being nice.
Yeah.
But clearly the reaction was so different, and that's when we kind of looked at each other. They just said, why are we doing this, man? Why are we doing it? And who put in the wrong goddamn cassette? Because they were like, holy crap! You guys kick ass. I'm like, that is not us.
Now,
that is not us. And I'm still bitter about it. I just want to be clear.
I feel that, but now that we're friends, you know, we'll talk all this. We'll talk all this stuff through.
Now we heard they had to sneak you in the building. How is your life like that? I mean, are you like, I don't know, Dick Mingle at the Ramada Inn? I mean, do you have to kind of go around and
Mingle
or whatever? You know, like do you have to
name?
Well, I mean, like that's what I'm saying. Like, do you have to be? I mean, does your life kind of have to be like that?
Yeah,
in a weird way?
That first one. I'm like that guy at the Ramada. No, not really. I mean, no.
You can be yourself. You can walk around. I mean, you got a dog.
I've always been. I mean, I lived in Seattle until I was 37, 36. 36. And I remember once I stopped going to sports bars, which was in my everything's fine.
Do you walk your dog Ella? Do you pick up her poop? I mean, are you?
Yeah, I remember wandering around Seattle, and it's kind of like I look at it like, do you or don't you draw attention to yourself? And it's sort of up to the person. Like if Prince goes into a place, he has people around him. And you see all that first, and you don't know if it's Prince, but you know it's somebody
sure.
I remember meeting Fred Durst one time. I met him one time, and there were like 5 guys that looked like they could be the defensive line of an NFL team, and then behind that wall comes this guy, and a hand comes out to shake my hand and say hi to me, and I thought if you want no one to bother you, just lose those 5 guys, and no one's gonna know who you are.
And the thing with Fred Durst, and nothing against the guy, but I mean, he just looks like the average bro. I mean, he's got his cap on.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he can walk into any douchebag bar, and no one.
Back to the sports bar.
Right. I mean, but I wouldn't notice him, and I know who the guy is, but I would not notice him there because he looks like it's like Everlast walking through Philadelphia. Like you're gonna blend in. Wear a wife beater, chin strap. No one knows
unless you're wearing like a purple trench coat and You know, I like Prince. You probably would see if he didn't have the five guys. He might need the five guys, but most people probably don't.
Well, speaking of Prince, you did Nothing Compares to You a couple years ago on XM Sirius, live version of it.
Yeah.
Does he call you? Does Prince
No.
call you and go like, Chris, I really like that version?
Apparently, he hates it when people do his songs.
That must be a horrible
What about,
thing.
well, hell, man, Tom Jones did Kiss. I mean, there's a lot of good covers of
It must be
Prince.
so insulting when someone
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
who's already successful takes the time to pay tribute to you because they feel gracious about something.
It's kind of like Johnny Cash doing Rusty Cage. You had to sit back and go, oh, man.
Yeah, that was amazing.
You know,
I
like,
still do that.
Then you think, why could I have not interpreted it that way?
I was asked to interpret it for Johnny Cash, and I remember saying after I sat for a couple hours, and I thought, this is actually kind of a stupid idea.
What do you
and
do?
then I said, I can't do it. This I don't really understand. Whatever it is you're thinking, it isn't going to work. And then I heard the version that a smarter person did, and I thought, I was overthinking it.
It's amazing.
You know,
I mean,
what's
they're both
funny about that? Think about this with Johnny Cash, all right? So you put out the solo album Scream, okay? Mm-hmm. And this is, and just keep in mind, this is a quote from Trent Reznor or a tweet or something. He says, you know that feeling you get when somebody embarrasses themselves so badly you feel uncomfortable? Heard Chris Cornell's record? Jesus. That's what he says. All right? Just keep this in mind now.
We got
so
the last
on this
part, right?
station, on this station, we played Johnny Cash's Rusty Cage. We played Johnny Cash's Hurt. No one complains when we play Soundgarden's Rusty Cage. And
Right.
I'm about to make a dead true statement here. When we played Nine Inch Nails Hurt, and I
What
like Trent
is
Reznor.
this?
I like Nine Inch, so make no mistake, I like it. But every time we play it, the younger generation, they call and they tweet and they are pissed off because they're going, I can't believe Trent Reznor disrespects Johnny Cash like this.
Oh, they don't know.
Honest to
Yeah.
God. And I'm like,
that-
so this is the guy complaining about your album, except people don't like his version of his own goddamn song, and they're mad at him for crapping on the memory of Johnny Cash. And I'm like,
Well, that's exactly what that illustrates why Prince gets upset, because the interview that I saw him do, he was saying that like the Sinead O'Connor song,
Sure.
nobody knows that that's even my song. And what I would say is that what puts Prince in the category of the Beatles or Bob Dylan is that someone like her can have a career-defining song with the song that he wrote.
Yeah, and
That used to happen all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't happen anymore.
No, it used to
It's
happen in
not
the early
like
70s.
he's-
I mean, even a Neil Sedaka song. I mean, you could cover it or cap. I mean, hell, I mean, it didn't matter.
I
I mean,
would get
everybody,
it.
those 10 songs, like Daydream Believer was being done by 9 different
Right.
people at one different
I
time.
think I would get Prince's argument if Prince were like a songwriter that no one knew of. But it's like, bro, you have an entire catalog that spans decades. No one doesn't know who you are. You are thoroughly appreciated. You're thoroughly respected. There is a tune that Sinead O'Connor blew up. Everybody liked. The hell difference does it make to you, man?
What
My
about, well, you
God.
cover the Beatles. You're doing Drive My Car for the new Netflix
Yeah.
Beat Bugs, and you got,
what
and
is
you
that?
do Dylan when you're out. Is there anybody that you wouldn't cover? Is there any song? Is there a Stairway? Like when you walk into Guitar Center, no Stairway. Is there a Chris Cornell version of that where you're like, you know what? I'm just not going to cover that song.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Okay. All
There's
right.
a really good chance. There's a lot of songs I probably will never play, but I don't think that I would have a rule of not doing it.
Have you seen the guy that they have that dresses up like an old man, and he goes out to the city basketball courts and he just schools everybody? So they put like prosthetic makeup on him, and he goes out, he's got gray hair, whatever. Like, look at this old man. And he goes out and he just does it. Have you ever thought about doing that for like karaoke? In other words, they put you in makeup, right? You know what I mean? Like, you are the karaoke ringer. No one, you're like this old crippled guy. Maybe you got a cane. You kind of fake going up on the stage and then just do, I don't know, Jesus Christ pose, or I don't know, The Day I Tried to Live, or something like that, just to see the reaction from the audience.
They tell you suck.
You know what I'm saying?
you know
what I'm saying?
Chris
Like,
Cornell.
This guy's, this old guy really could nail some Soundgarden. You know what I mean? Just, I don't know.
I did that. I wasn't dressed up though. I just walked up and started singing karaoke, and they said this old guy can really nail some karaoke.
You have done karaoke.
No, I haven't actually.
Okay.
I never have.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Dude,
like,
don't
you
do it.
are the ringer.
Could you sit through karaoke? I mean, one thing that's notorious about you is your pipes, right? And it's been there for decades, and I know you know this, and you're very acclaimed for that. I don't have a good singing voice, and sitting through karaoke is just a stupid idea to me. Because everyone up there has about my talent, and there's a reason why we don't do what you do, and it's because we can't effing sing. I'm telling you, just go to a karaoke bar, listen to it, and I'm telling you, you're going to appreciate yourself. You're going to have a newfound self-respect for your own ability.
Do you appreciate your voice? Do you know how good it is, or do you take it for granted?
I sort of look at it as an instrument, like a reed instrument, like a saxophone or something. except that the human voice, it changes. It changes not just, I'm not talking about like over time, I'm talking about like, I have a cold this week. Or it just changes anyway. I mean, even in my 20s, we'd be on tour, wake up one morning, and it didn't work the same way as it did the day before. So I never really think about it too much. I just sort of try to do the best I can with that day. And then in the long run, I think I've made changes, to not be a complete idiot, like stop smoking. And
how many instruments do you play now? I know you're doing Dylan. You're playing the harp.
Harp,
the harmonica.
Oh,
I mean, you got all these. How many?
And I play the harp, too.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just picturing you sitting
for
down
weddings,
with the
bar
harp
mitzvahs. I mean, there's always a harpist in the corner.
Supplement the income.
Hey, that's Chris Cornell playing harp at the wedding. But how many instruments do you play? Can you count them all?
I don't play any great. I play guitar every single day, and I'm okay at it. But I picked that up as a song. Like, I can use this to write songs. Soundgarden was already a band before I ever touched the guitar. And the attitude was very cool. Like when I touched a guitar and said, I got this part, guys, and I'm showing a guitar player, and I've never played guitar. The reaction was actually really positive right away. It was very encouraging, like, oh, that's really cool. Show me how you're doing that. Instead of put that thing down.
Right.
You're embarrassing yourself. That didn't happen. So that encouraged me, and then I thought, wow, songwriting kind of became the thing for me. It was more so than being a singer or a front man, but like creating the music of your band. Because when you're a musician and you're a teenager and you're trying, the idea is that I'm going to be the best of whatever my position is, and then some amazing band is going to come along and they're going to put me in their band. And then at some point you realize that's never going to happen. and if you want a cool band that sounds cool, that has great songs, you got to sort of figure out how to do that. And that's been my focus since like 1984. Is like that, writing the songs, creating this kind of it's another reason fiction almost. You're writing a soundtrack to something that you kind of create, and then over the course of decades you can change it. But that is like more exciting than anything.
Chris Cornell. And we've got a little bit more of that interview we're going to share with you later on coming up in the hour. The end of the interview. I don't think anyone's ever heard that part of it. I don't think that ever made it on the air.
I have not heard it since we've done it.
No. So we're going to play a little bit more from that. As Seattle Rock Day continues, you are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Still to come from the Screaming Trees Mad Season walking paper fame, you know him as Barrett Martin. He will be joining us coming up to talk about Seattle Rock Day. And we'll do that right after emails on our question, what is your Seattle Rock story? Okay, so with the Soundgarden there, we asked you to go to KISW.com and vote for the Seattle Rock Rumble. You did so. Soundgarden beat Pearl Jam in the final, and because of that, we wanted to play back for you, and for no good reason either, one way or the other. The last time we got a chance to talk to Chris Cornell, I want to say that this is the part of the interview that probably has never made it to the airwaves. There is
no idea.
There's a couple weird moments in here, just so you know. We had a great time. We didn't know this was the last time we were going to get a chance to talk to Chris, but here you go.
And when you take your ugly, untalented ass out of here, you're headed to the studio to begin writing, right?
Yeah. Well, we already started. We've been working a little bit, but yes,
this is important to us.
Yeah.
Right. So knowing that you're working on a new Soundgarden album, and like you're headed to the studio after that, we have some ideas for you.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to appreciate all of them.
Oh, okay.
I can tell by your face, and we're friends, right? That's what you keep saying. So the thing is...
Well, you said we weren't, but...
Well, no, we are now.
I know we are.
We are now.
Yeah.
I'm moody.
We're bonding.
Man. We're bonding. We have bonding. But like, if you're going to start writing, I feel like you should let the listeners know that, hey, I was just here at the Men's Room, right? So we started thinking yesterday, if you could just fit in, like, just somewhere, like, in the music, you're like, fish sandwich. It'd be a small tribute.
Right, like, Carol Burnett used to tug on her ear for her mother.
Let her mom know. At the end of the Carol Burnett show, she'd tug her ear.
Maybe you just...
And it was for her mom. Let her mom know, like, hey, I'm thinking of you, thanks for watching. You could do an hola.
She hated her mom. She did. I saw an interview. She hated her mom.
She did.
Yeah.
Why does she tug her ear? Why wouldn't you do something like that?
Because she was getting a little older and early onset and forgot to hate her. I don't know. I don't know.
Are you being serious? Carol Burnett could not stand her mom?
She's sweet. But I saw it. Yeah, I've seen sort of documentaries about her and her mom and her. Yeah, I think she kind of hated her mom. But that,
or maybe just like a word like Uranus. You know what I mean? You can just drop it in there, and then we know it's in there. There it is.
We're friends now.
That's right.
That doesn't mean I won't tug my ear for you, though. Did he tug his ear? No, there was a fly. I don't know. I think it was for me.
If you could work the word sausage into a song. Look, man, it's not done much. If you want to break new ground,
Do you have any Black Rains? Are there any songs that have just been there but not on the surface, but just kind of been there for a number of years that have almost been completed?
Like, could you guys
you know what I mean?
put out an album?
There's stuff that you worked on from the last one. You're like, yeah, it wasn't really ready to go. But do you guys have that in your catalog as well?
We tend to not do that. What we will do, though, is kind of resurrect a really old idea. Like, on King Animal, there was a song that I tried to write lyrics for probably during the Down the Upside songwriting sessions. And I actually did a demo of it at home. And it was Kim's song on guitar, and I just kind of played it, recorded it at home, and then I sang over it. And I hated it so much I was embarrassed by it. I never played it for anybody. So they didn't know, and then we were working on King Animal, and Kim started playing that idea again, and I remembered it. And so the next thing I did was just try to not remember what I was singing because it was so bad. So I sort of ignored it, and then wrote a whole different thing, and it turned out a lot better. And that, I don't know, that was like 15 years later. So that's a song that was like at least 15 years.
Wow.
In being completed. But most of the time, we will have plans to kind of keep working on something that we didn't finish, but then a bunch of new ideas come, and those, the older ideas often just get kind of buried under the new things.
Now, when you say that it sucked and it was awful.
Oh my God, yeah, it was bad.
I mean, how bad could it be, though? I mean, and I understand.
So bad no one's ever heard it but me.
I don't believe
but
it.
I know, but
I'm sorry, man.
That happens all the time.
Because I think from the perspective of your version of something being embarrassingly horrible would be a lot different than a lot of other people, man. And I'm basing this on your body of work, whether it's your solo stuff, Soundgarden, all this. There's a consistency to your lyrical ability, your voice, all of the rest of that stuff. So I feel like when you say, oh, man, this is embarrassingly bad, I think the rest of us would be like, it's pretty goddamn good, man.
I think you learn over time because I think it was the Bad Motor Finger writing sessions. I started working on a bunch of songs alone where I wrote like 8 or 9 songs and put them on a cassette, and we got together as a band, and I was like, hey guys, here's the songs I've been working on, and I've been working hard for months, and something happens, like I was too isolated, maybe, I'm not sure, but once the very beginning of the very first song started with the other people in the room, especially with my bandmates in the room, I realized all this stuff is awful. It's all awful, and then they listened to all of it, and they're trying to be supportive, but it was pretty quiet, and I realized, okay, this is awful. And I most of those songs were scrapped. I think I rewrote one of them, rearranged it, but most of those songs were scrapped. Now, fast forward a couple of years, going through those songs, going back and listening to like DAT tapes of old stuff. I think one or two of those songs, I felt like, we kind of got this wrong because this would have been a good song.
Sure.
Most of them, I realized, no, this was definitely bad. I wasn't mistaking it for not bad. And that hasn't happened much since, but I definitely went down that road. It like screwed me up enough to where if I feel like something's not working early on, it probably isn't.
Do you bring up DAT tapes and all that? There was, reel to reel.
Where did you find
the
machine to play?
Well, I was going to say the same thing. I don't even know if we have a DAT player in here anymore. But
I had it when it originally came out.
It was the way
it was a wave of the future.
That everyone's going to use. That's what they told us.
But do you have a collection of stuff that you've kept throughout the years? I mean, is there stuff that you have kept in boxes that, like, look,
I have all of the tapes of demos and even like cassette 4-track things. I have all that stuff.
Even the bad songs, the embarrassing ones?
They're all embarrassing when you're starting out.
Man, I'm telling you, you need to just put out like just the album of crap. Just say, look, man, this is what we spared you from. This was the stuff we thought was a good idea. In the end, we hated it. I think it'd be an interesting thing, and I think it's a ballsy thing because most people, like, even if you watch outtakes of a movie, they don't say, these are the scenes we thought sucked.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be interesting to get the perspective of a band's been as successful as you guys have been. Say, hey, man, these are things we tried. It just didn't work.
Well, here's what I would do. It's always going to happen when you're gone. So, like, the family's going to release the Chris Cornell Lost Basement tapes.
That's a good point.
And then so you got to figure out a way,
now.
man, you're either going to tell, like, your daughter, hey, look, man, no matter what, you're in charge. Do not let this out.
As long as I'm dead, I don't really care what people. I can't believe he did
it's like
that.
Box sets of just stuff from the basement coming out all
and
now,
I mean, that's the reality show formula. The reality show formula is to just see people squirm on camera, pretty much. Like the contest shows. You want a triumphant moment here and there too, as well. But Really, like the guys in Alaska, for example, like some of that is interesting. It's like what they do and how they can do it, but a lot of it is like, oh my God, that guy! Look at that guy in Alaska, and he probably should see a dentist, and that's entertainment. Or a contest show where it's like somebody walks out and sings amazingly and it's triumphant, and then someone comes out and it's really awful and embarrassing.
You live in L.A., right?
I live in New York. Actually,
okay, so
between New York and Miami, kind of.
Is LA kind of like a reality show, though, just by living there? I mean, just by being there?
I would think Miami is more reality than New York. Because Miami, I've been to Miami a few times.
Yeah.
And, New York is just whoever the hell you are, just go do your thing and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Miami, I am definitely the ugliest person there, and I know what you're thinking.
Well,
You're the ugliest person everywhere you go.
Yeah.
But by leaps and bounds in Miami, man, I don't picture you as a Miami guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of myself as that. But I, it's a different thing when you're there, just kind of raising your kids and you're there with your family. We don't go out to clubs at night, and I don't go to the gym. And
clearly, what happens to your hair, Miami? I don't know, but even my beard, it is so goddamn.
It just kind of goes
like Dimebag.
It kind of goes more in the Dimebag direction.
Everyone I know looks different in Miami. I mean, your eyebrows curl. I mean,
do you have a white suit? Do you own a white suit?
No.
See, I think if you have to have a white suit if you live in, or at least a pastel.
You don't really need clothes in Miami.
No, you don't.
Clothes don't really work. You need kind of baggy shorts and flip flops.
God, that's got to be great. Have you ever gone down to Key West, taken that drive down Highway 1, and seen any of that stuff down there?
No, but I was out. I actually drove out with a photographer friend of mine into kind of the middle of nowhere to do a photo shoot, and we were driving back, and there were a bunch of wild pigs on the highway. And that was the first I'd ever seen that.
Yeah.
Wild pigs.
That seems reasonable.
Like babies,
Was Mama around? Or
No, we didn't see Mama, and we almost ran over him.
Any alligators that you have to deal with in your property?
No. We don't have any gators on our property.
Okay.
No.
No, I was just down there to see my dad in Naples. Gators everywhere.
Everywhere?
Everywhere. Everywhere. And I was like,
why does anyone live there?
That's what I was trying to figure out. They had
you can live in Tornado Alley and all that.
They shut off a Publix parking lot because they had the gator patrol there, like wrangling up a gator in the parking lot. I'm like, where in the hell am I?
At the grocery store.
At the Publix.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
What's one of the stranger interactions you've had? So, like you said, you walk somewhere, maybe people recognize some Chris, love the band. Like, what would be one of these stranger, just kind of, not like after a show, but I mean, hell, I don't know. You're standing in Starbucks to get a coffee and it started getting odd.
Well, probably the strangest one I can think of off the top of my head was I was in Stockholm, in the restaurant of the hotel, on tour. I think it was with Audioslave at the time, and my young wife is with me, and we're sitting there, and a guy who's American comes and sits down next to me.
At your table?
No, but kind of next to us, in the table next to us, and he keeps looking up at me like he recognized me, and I think, okay, he recognizes me, and he's American, so he probably doesn't surprise me. Yeah, and what you just described, kind of, but no, he keeps looking at me, and finally I look at him like, let's get this part over with, and he says, "Are you the boss?"
Are you the boss?
Yeah, and I didn't understand the question.
As in
this is getting weird.
No.
Are you the boss, right? You're Bruce Springsteen. And I was wearing kind of a black overcoat, like sort of jersey thing, but I thought, you're an American guy that obviously grew up in the United States, and you're looking at me.
And you think
I'm Bruce Springsteen. How does that happen?
Look, man, this is no disrespect to you.
I got a lot of Johnny Depp though, and I got a lot of.
Well, there's worse things than Johnny Depp. Somebody thought I was Dennis Rodman.
Really?
He's the ugliest He's the ugliest son of a bitch ever born. He's uglier than Mick Jagger. And I was in Miami, goddammit, and the sushi chef. All right, so I'm eating sushi, and every time I glance at the chef, he goes, "Oh," right? Every single time, big smile, and you realize you're doing it back, and I don't know if that's disrespectful or not, but it's like, you just do it back because every time. So the waiter comes up at the end and he said, "Hey, man, look, this is on the house." And he goes, "I know you're not, but the chef over there is really excited you're here." I'm like, "Why?" Like, dude, he thinks you're Dennis Rodman. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's the ugliest son of a bitch on earth, man. So you're getting compared to Johnny Depp. I get Dennis Rodman. And Dennis Rodman isn't even cool when you take away his looks. And this is no disrespect to you, but I feel like if anyone walks up to anyone believing that it's Bruce Springsteen, no matter who you say you are, you're going to let them down.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like,
no.
Chris Cornell, I don't care.
That's why I said yes. In fact, I am Bruce Springsteen. Now stop at me.
Chris Cornell, everybody. There you go, man. We appreciate you coming in. Thanks.
Thank you.
Last time we talked to Chris Cornell, that was, would you say, Robin, that was February of 2016, right? Okay.
So about 2 years ago.
Yeah. Soundgarden, you're a winner in the Seattle Rock Rumble. It is Seattle Rock Day. Our question, what is your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Jess. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So, I'll take you off your phone real quick. So back, let's see. It was probably when I was like 16, and I'm like 32 now. So, Vendetta Red had played what I believe was their first show in Seattle, or the first show ever, and it was at Tower Records. It was in the parking lot, and it was a free show. And I had already heard some of their music, and I just really, really liked them a lot. So I was, oh my God, I'm going to the show. And I went, had the time of my life. And I'd been to other concerts before, but this was just something so much more personal, you know. And so throughout the years, I continued to go to their shows and kind of, you know, just somehow got in with them a little bit enough to be a merch girl for a little while. And, you know, it's just like one of those things that, like, they've always had a huge place in my heart. And so some years ago they had split up, but not too long ago, I was going to say a couple years ago or so, they got back together and they're touring again now. So it's just, that's like my local music thing.
That's
there.
cool. It sounds to me like we got hosed on the Tower Records deal.
I was getting her to say, what happened to Tower Records?
Man. Yeah, that's, we got here in
I think it
2005.
was 107.7 the end, I believe, was the...
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right.
It does. I'm just pissed off that Tower Records isn't around anymore.
Well, yeah, apparently that was the place to go, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever live in a place with the Tower Records?
I did not, but at one point in time I went to Boston.
Is that rare?
It's not that, man, it's not that, it's almost like In-N-Out Burger, where like, everyone has heard of this place, okay? But it was only in maybe 15 cities. And so New York City, sure, San Francisco, Seattle, LA, all the cities you'd expect it to be. But I was stuck with Sam Goody, which was like, okay. But like Tower Records was just a different animal. Sam Goody said, this is currently on the radio, or it's the most popular. Basically, we looked at Billboard, we have it for sale. Where Tower Records is, man, we got everything.
Tower Records had a building in Boston, and every floor was a different genre of music.
Yeah.
And you just kept walking up. And it was, I mean, to a kid, it was one of the greatest things ever. It was like, you know, being 6 years old and just having your reign at Toys R Us with an unlimited wallet. It was.
I always equate it to the Playboy Mansion. The idea that you walk in and you're just in awe of what you're seeing, and you're very, very happy that you're there.
Oh my God, Ian Ziering.
Right. I just remember, like, back in the day, MTV, like, people, like, you released an album, you had to go to the one in New York.
Oh, yeah, it was Tower Records. I want to say when Metallica, Guns N' Roses, you know, they put out their first initial albums, they have that kind of thing where kind of like the iPhone, as of midnight tonight, the album goes on sale. And they would show a national story, and it was always New York, L.A. But, I mean, the line was like 8 blocks long, and people are just partying. But it was always Tower Records. And it always sucked to live in a place that didn't have one.
As we continue Seattle Rock Day, you know from the Screaming Trees, Mad Season, and Walking Papers, we have Barrett Martin joining us on the program. That is all coming up after emails on our question. What is your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA. More of your calls coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
There's Jimmy. Seattle Rock Day continues. Still to come from the Screaming Trees, Mad Season, and Walking Papers, one of 900 bands he's been in. Barrett Martin joins us in studio right after emails on our question. What is your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Bree. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola, fellas.
Hola.
How are you today?
We're doing great at Seattle Rock Day. Bree, how about yourself?
Oh, good. Well, basically, mine is a short and sweet. I was a born-in groupie.
You did what now?
I was a born-in groupie.
You're a born-in groupie. How did that happen?
My dad's a drummer. My godfather's a drummer.
Oh, so they're just constantly getting kicked out of bands.
Yeah. My dad's playing, in a band currently, too. So it's...
Well, give him a plug. What's the name of the band?
KG3.
What is it called? Crazy Grease?
No, KG3.
Oh,
KG3. All right.
Crazy Grease.
Crazy Grease.
What is that, like a sexual lubricant? Drive you crazy, Grease.
I hadn't had sex in 15 years, so I tried Crazy Grease. It is amazing. You should buy some. John in Port Orchard said Crazy Grease is amazing.
Crazy Grease.
First time I tried it, I had sex for 15 seconds. So who did you hang out with? Did you ever get a chance to hang out?
She's gone.
Oh, you're gone. What the hell happened then?
You got to thank everybody.
Bree, okay. All right.
I mean, every freaking body, right?
Yeah.
Does born in groupie mean like she's not a real groupie? She's just part of the band?
Yeah.
And she's born into it?
But the problem is, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I hear groupie, to me, you are having sex, right?
Yeah, I mean, right. That's
Because
what I think.
you're a fan. Because, anyone can be a fan. But if I say, look, I'm a fan of Soundgarden, you go, okay. If I said I'm a Soundgarden groupie, they'd be like, which member liked you? And I understand the question. Like groupie, to me, I've had sex with many, many, many band members.
So what do you call somebody who's just a really big fan, but they don't, it's not a groupie. They
It's
just
like
go
a
to all the
super
shows.
fan,
Yeah.
or fan, right? President of the fan club, something like that.
What is your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Joey. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Hey, so I was sitting down at lunch one day and just having kind of a crappy day, and I was talking to my buddy about how I want to check out some more, local music, and he's like, well, you should talk to this guy, and he pointed the guy across the table. So I asked him, hey, what do you do Seattle music? And it turned out to be Andy from Top Left TV.
Nice.
Okay.
So I ended up volunteering for Top Left TV, and my first show was Mix Fest, and ever since then, man, it's just been crazy checking out some of the most amazing Seattle local music bands. It's just been awesome.
That is cool. And is that a job? Are you working?
No, we all just volunteer our time, and we get to go to just a ton of shows, and it's a great excuse to have to go out to go to a ton of shows.
You don't
absolutely.
need to get paid for that. That's very cool, man.
Yeah, so it's just really cool. And like you guys were saying, the community is just amazing. It's really unlike anywhere else in the world.
It really is. I mean, that's the one thing that really just gets me
Yeah.
is that everything's competitive no matter what you do. And I'm sure it is on some level here, but everyone seems to have everyone else's back.
I live in Fremont, and there's at least 2 venues with live music 7 days a week.
We know of one of
Think
them.
about that. Yeah, the one we got kicked out of, and the other one beside me.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, so there's a High Dive
Well,
and Nectar.
they-
For the most part, they have music 7 nights a week. Or
They
6
have
nights a
welcomed
week.
us back. We
Yes,
had
they
not
have.
been in there in, 10 years. And the thing that blew my mind is, we got booted out a decade before this. And
Right.
most places, whether it's a club, a bar, in 10 years, there's no one who's the same that was there before, right? Unless you own the joint. So
Apparently, that was the case.
we walk into High Dive. It has been literally 10 years since we walked in. We're there for maybe 2 minutes, and we see this guy look at us, and immediately comes over to approach Miles and I. And I'm like, oh, my God, I think they're going to kick us out again. And the guy's like, yeah, you guys are welcome back, man. Sorry, misunderstand. And I'm like, after 10 years, you even remember this? He's like, well, sure.
And then we got to see S-Ghost,
Yeah.
Fame Riot, and Radkey.
Oh, it was a great
That was
show.
a great show. That.
Part of me still kind of wishes he'd been like, band means band.
I think I would have been a very
Get out of here now.
You think I'm stupid? All right, get the hell out.
He's like, I've been waiting.
Right.
Waiting.
To kick you out of here.
No, you talk about the local bands. Even this summer, I went out to the Gorge to see Guns N' Roses, right?
Yeah.
With Taryn and her boyfriend. And then Hunter from Woodshed was behind us. We had a nice acoustic set after the show.
Get out of here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Very nice.
What is your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Manny. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
All right. Guys, I've been meaning to call for a while, but I got the stories. This one, this is a real ball buster, man. August 14th, 1994, week after my 21st birthday, I went to see Soundgarden at the stadium down at the center.
Nice.
It was Reverend Horton Heat, this really kick-ass Australian band, IMI, Reverend Horton Heat, Screaming Trees, Soundgarden on their home leg from the Super Unknown tour. Epic show. So I decided I'm going to go by myself. I wasn't going to do any drugs, going to chill, right? Next,
I like that you even have to state that.
Not the normal way I go to shows, like a different way.
I was just going to hang out, right? Next thing I know, some dudes offered me Jesus Christ Print Acid from the Grateful Dead tour, which I knew I would never see again in my life, and it worked out like that. I've never seen it again. But I took one. So I'm up on the middle of this thing, right? But I was coming up on it when Trees went on, and they were epic. What's up, Barrett?
He's not in here yet, Manny, but you're not too far off.
He is in the building.
Yeah, we're hoping he got the email where I told him we are in a new studio now down the street and not in the old location. So I'm getting my fingers crossed on that one.
I bet he remembers that show because it was just off the absolute chain. I ended up sitting up in the bleachers at one point because I was peeking on this fry. Looked up, Space Needle, right?
All right.
Full moon just off the stage right of that. Boeing 747 flies across the moon. I'm peeking on acid. I look down, Soundgarden. I'm losing my mind at this point. So, fast forward. Show gets over. I figure, hey, what's up? I don't know if you guys remember Moe's. I don't know how long y'all have been here, but
12 years, man. 13. 13.
Manny, hold
Hang
on. We want to
on.
hear the rest of the story. And yes, Barrett Martin is on the way from Screaming Trees, Mad Season fame, and the Walking Papers. We'll get the second half here of Manny's story in a second. By the way, Manny, a delicious beer, by the way. What is your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.